Hey everyone, this is Varun here, and today I have with me Sahith Krishna, who is the product marketing manager at Exotel, and he also heads the inbound marketing team. To say a few words about Sahith, Sahith was my manager while I was working at Exotel, and I must say he is one of the most enthusiastic and passionate marketers that I have ever come across. His energy was always off the charts, and I'm lucky to have been a part of his team. Hey, Syed, welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for being here and taking your time off.
Hey, hi Varun. That was a nice intro. Yes, I think glad to be here on the podcast talking about something that I really like. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, let's start off with your journey into marketing because I know you had a very interesting start. So, can you please take me through how you started and what you're doing now?
Okay, so I think my career in the whole online marketing field started right after my master's, and that is when I kind of discovered there is marketing but online, and I started off with a company which was into B2B as well as B2C, and there I could have my hands on the SaaS product, and I could understand the nuances or how things work on the product or how users behave, the UI UX part. So I got introduced to the B2B and B2C marketing online. This company called Explora. And post that, I happened to also come across this interesting role at Exotel. Um, so that pure product marketer role. And it was quite interesting for me because I always am a huge fan of products. Like I like interacting with some nice product interfaces and getting things done. So products are interesting because they also solve some critical problems. It could be for both businesses as well as consumers. So yeah, after I discovered Exotel, I think the whole perspective on how products behave or users behave have changed for me. And so yeah, Exotel being both product as well as a platform, and the fact that Exotel has different kinds of customer persona using the product or platform made me think not just from a SaaS perspective, but also a PaaS perspective. So here, PaaS, I mean platform as a service. So Exotel kind of has this revenue model on both SaaS, software as a service, as well as PaaS, where it is a platform as a service. So yeah, currently I have a team of 5 to 7 folks at Exotel who are working on inbound and product marketing projects. And it's yeah, the work is quite good, and the growth is also good for the company.
Yeah, that's quite a journey. And as far as I know, when you started off at Exotel, you were the only inbound marketer, right?
Yes, yeah, I've joined Exotels close to 3.5 to 4 years ago, and I was the only online marketer or digital marketer from product marketer. So I was wearing different hats, even designer hat at times, because it was a small team, a team of 5. Um, but now I think the product or the inbound marketing team itself is of 6 folks. And if you consider 2 agencies, we are a total of 7 to 8 people. So yeah, the team grew, and I could see the team growing from where we started 4 years back. And now everyone has their own, responsibilities or the fields that people are accountable for. And yeah, the team is, I think, sorted for another 1 2 years.
Yeah, it was lovely being there as a marketer and seeing the team grow and all of that. And you being a product marketing manager, take me through what product marketing is and why is it so important for a SaaS product to have a good product marketing engine?
Great. So there are different definitions for product marketing, right? So my definition would be a process where you take the product to a market and ensure that you look over the overall success of the product launch in a particular market. So that is a simple definition. So here, when you're taking to the product to the market, right, then you'll have to do all sorts of positioning that is required for the market, the branding that is needed for the market, for the product, or even the content for the product go-to-market strategy. So it's about how you make the market learn about the product, position the product and also use about the product. So the first part is how you educate people about what the product is and make them sign up for the product, and then you teach them what the product is and make the users understand that this product solves their problem. So it is a long journey of educating, making them use, and having their first transaction. So as a product marketer or a product marketing manager, you'll be working with these 3 or 4 teams in your organization. You'll be working very closely with the product because you need to understand why the particular feature or the product has been built from your product and engineering teams, and you have to work with the marketing team to understand the channels or the content that you need to produce for the product launch to happen. And you also will be working with your sales team or the customer success team to ensure that the team is getting the deals or the consumers that they have to talk to once the product has been launched. So you are more of an interjection between the teams of product, marketing, and sales team. So that is how I would define a product marketing as.
And when it comes to product marketing at Exotel, one thing I was very impressed by was the kind of user onboarding experience that you had built. Can you please take me through the importance of crafting a good user onboarding experience?
So I think the current onboarding, a critical part of the onboarding flow was also built by you. So I think I'll just give you a complete perspective on the user onboarding and types that we have done after you also left the team, so that you'll also know what's happening at Digital right now. So yeah, so these are the few points that you need to have in place to have your onboarding effective, right? So first is to have some goals. So you need to have set some objectives to a particular onboarding flow that you are designing. Like when you were there, you had some goals in your mind when you were doing your flow. So this could be common for any user onboarding process. So you need to have some objectives and you need to have your team in place. Like you need to educate, let the team know, be it the product manager, be it an engineer, be it any stakeholder of the team need to be aware of the goals and why a particular flow is going to be built, so that they can also contribute to the team. Second one is, once you have the goal, you need to map your user journey on the product or the platform. So this could be, so when I mean platform, that means the user is not, at least in digital perspective, the user is not on the product, but his solution or his use cases are going to be more on a platform wise, where the user is not on the product as is on the dashboard. I mean, most of the time he's off the product. So you need to map your user journey on the product and platform. And this, for example, okay, I'll just give you the points, then I can just go on in deep of each of these.
Yeah,
A third one is creating some content or the learning content for users while they are in this particular journey. And I think the last one would be to have certain technology in place or certain solutions or products in place to have the content presented in front of the users. And the last but not least, the obvious one, have launch the onboarding and keep optimizing it, keep understanding if it is working as expected or not. So that would be the broad structure where you need to set the goals. So goals on a SaaS product could be various. I think this could be some of the common goals, right? So one is you need to ensure that you need to teach the prospect on your product and give them the confidence that this product is worthwhile and it is going to solve the problem. And one of the other goals could be make the purchase happen or make the first transaction. So if this could be a broad goals, and so once you have these goals, then you start mapping your onboarding journey. So people, after they sign up, so they could go off the product or they could be on a demo. So you need to kind of map the journey on where the user could potentially be, in order to deliver him the content that you would produce in the next step. So the third one would be creating learning content. So this is where I think most of the time goes into, because content could be of various forms. So at least in a B2B enterprise SaaS perspective, one of the crucial contents for product marketing or on dashboard nurturing would be content based on how to do something, like how do you set up a particular campaign, how would you build a workflow on a product. So you need to produce both the product content here as well as content to help you position your company or build the confidence. So you will have to build a lot of white papers to have thought leadership in place, and a lot of case studies, ebooks. So I think this third step of creating learning content or content that will help the branding is a very crucial part, because it could be a various set of formats to have the nurture happen from different perspectives. So one nurture could be for as I said, for the dashboard usage on how to make the users use a particular feature on the product. Yeah, but you got the idea, right? So this place is where yeah, the nurture happens, and the nurture the content would also be from two angles. One is a particular industry. So if a user is from say e-commerce industry, how will you position your product to the e-commerce guy versus a user who is from a logistics industry. So you need to also position your product or use cases from each of these kind of industries perspective to have it be more effective. So the more personalization in your nurture, the better results that you get. And the last step is how you implement the content that you just produced, right? So for onboard content, you can have tools, some interesting onboarding tools like I think Intercom or User Pilot or Pendo or Whatfits. So these companies help users to do certain events on the product where they can guide users to do some things, educate what a particular feature on the product does. And there could be two technology or the tools which for off product nurturing. For example, on the email or SMS is also one of the channels where you can deliver the content when the users are not on your product. So that is also crucial, because a lot of times, at least in Exotel perspective, a lot of enterprises are not on the product all the time. So you need to understand that you can also deliver or nurture the user when he's off the product. So that is also some areas where you can do better automations. Yeah, and the last one would be once you launch these tools or technology to deliver the content you produce for your users, you need to start evaluating if these are working as expected. Are the open rates good? Or have the users completed their onboarding flows? How many people, users have dropped off? So you need to have a constant eye on each of these processes to ensure that things are working as expected.
Thank you so much, Sahith, for that elaborate answer. I think that makes a lot of things clear about why we need to build a good user onboarding experience, because it also acts like a product guide, right? And makes the user make best use of the product for his or her business, correct? And with everything happening in the world today, companies are kind of increasingly looking to automate their support team. Yeah. Do you think good and effective product marketing can be the answer to this?
Yeah, I think great question. It could be so product marketing can help not just support, but I think it could also help sales and maybe not CS so much, but yeah, the automations or the solutions that a product marketing team builds need to be in such a way that the user should get everything by himself and have the self-service in a more efficient way. But it can never replace a team as such, but it can make their jobs easier so that they can do better stuff. Because a lot of times users would want to have a human support their problem. So we could have a better way to reduce this dependency on humans or support team and have support teams solve bigger problems. So yes, it can definitely help both the sales and support teams in making filtering the questions that reach them.
Okay, so how do you measure the success of good product marketing? What are the metrics that you follow?
Okay, interesting question. Okay, so there are different KPIs at different user journey flows here, right? Like when the user signs up on the product, you have different metrics there versus when he's signed up versus when he's on the product. And so one of I think here are some of my KPIs at Exotel, or I think this would be some of the common KPIs or metrics that usually a product marketer tries to optimize. One would be conversions, the primary thing. Ultimately, so much time and effort you're putting in just to have better revenue for the company. So conversions would be one thing. Second would be tracking your PQLs, or product qualified leads. So product qualified lead in simple term would be giving a score or to a particular user based on his behavior on the website or the product. So this is very similar to marketing qualified leads, but now since this metric also involves a lot of product behavior attributes, it is not just an MQL, but it is a PQL, which is more better qualified than MQL. So tracking PQLs and optimizing them would be one metric or success metric. The other one would be the number of demos happening that are the number of demos that sales is able to do irrespective of conversions, right? Because having a user schedule a demo is a very critical part in product marketing, because a lot of users tend to use the product by themselves. So if you're making a user also talk to your team, so that is also a good metric to understand. Okay, people now maybe are not signing up for the product themselves, but now are willing to talk to the team and have a demo scheduled. So demo schedule is one of the metrics that you need to have your eye on. And as well as here are some other metrics, right? The number of calls you got on your virtual numbers, or the numbers that you used for your campaigns. Because some people may not just get to the demo, but they tend to also just call in and query about your product. And the last but not the least, the obvious one would be the trial signups for your product. So keep in mind that not every platform will have a free trial. But in Exotel perspective, not every solution also needs to have a free trial done. So it needs to, so trial signups is one of the metrics that you need to have your eyes on. And we also sort of track our resources downloaded. So as I discussed in the product marketing journey, right, where we produce a lot of content, you need to also measure if this content is being uh, used at all. Are people downloading this content? You need to also quantify if the content downloaded is also a relation, if it is in relation to the conversions that are happening. Only then it is. So we also track on the visibility that we are getting to our resources. Yeah, these are some of the key metrics, I guess.
Yeah, I think metrics, it's one of these things that a lot of teams get wrong because everyone puts in the work, but you don't know what to measure. And I think that's a very important part of marketing in general as well. Thank you so much for that answer. And right, thank you so much for this, Sahith. I learned a lot. It was very informative. And I hope people listening to this call have learned something as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Varun. And yeah, I'm glad to share my experiences on product marketing or user onboarding. And one of the things is that not a lot of marketers out there are actually aware of field of product marketing. A lot of them tend to only look at things until a lead is generated, but no one really sees beyond that. I think there there is a huge scope in product marketing, and a lot of products are being built every day. And I think all these products would eventually need a product marketer. So I think being an online marketer, you need to be aware of how the B2B product marketing also works, because there is a lot of opportunities in this space.
True. Thank you so much, Sahith.
Thanks,
Thank you
Varun.
for your time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.